Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Karachi, and in this video lecture we will cover social engineering and physical attacks. Now, by the end of this lecture, you should be able to describe what is social engineering and its motivations, what is the psychology of social engineering and the aspects of human nature that social engineers can leverage, what tactics used in person-to-person social engineering, and some of the technology and technology-based attacks used in social engineering. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about the physical attacks methods. Now, first of all, what is social engineering? Engineering is a deceptive technique used by threat actors to manipulate individuals into action that compromise personal or organizational security. See, the social engineer is unlike purely technical attacks. It targets the human element, exploiting trust, emotions, and cognitive biases to bypass security controls. Now, social engineers can be considered skilled con artists who operate within the technical domain, but focus on human vulnerabilities here rather than technological weakness. They employ wide range of psychological tactics to deceive individuals into divulging sensitive information, granting access to systems, or performing actions that facilitate unauthorized entry into the networks. So basically, what you need to understand that these attacks rely on understanding that the humans are often the weakest link in a security chain. Now, for for the for the social engineering, setting the stage here typically it's considered very important phase, by the way, where threat actors fabricate a pretext, or a believable scenario to legitimize their actions and manipulate their targets. Now, a pretext, by the way, serve as a foundation of the attack, creating a situation where simple or complex, situation that the victim perceive as authentic. Now, the scenario must be carefully crafted to align with the victim's environment, the expectations, or needs so that it compels the victim to act without suspicious. Now, for to further enhance the deception, the threat actor often basically create like a character that the victim will trust. This character could take the form of an authority figure, like manager, IT technician, or could be like a helpful colleague or even service provider. Now, the attacker ensures that that this character is convincing by leveraging details, such as credible language, uniforms, emails, or tools that align with the target's expectation. Now, by establishing familiarity and authority, the character help breaks down the victim's defenses and builds up trust in this case. Now, once the victim or the target is convinced of the legitimacy of the scenario and the character, the attacker initiate a call to action right here. See, this is a very important point in attack where the threat actor specifies the desired actions they want the victim to perform. Like, okay, so what kind of basically what type of call to action will it be? Like, for example, like providing sensitive information like password, credential, financial data, probably like clicking a malicious link or downloading harmful attachment. Could be like granting access to a system, network, or restricted physical location. It could be like transferring money or valuable asset. So the success of this type of attack basically depends on the social engineer's ability best to set the stage effectively, creating an environment where the victim feels a sense of trust, urgency, or obligation to perform the desired action. Now, this means it's very important that, or this basically highlights the importance of awareness as well, constructed pretext that can bypass even the most secure technical controls if the human element is compromised. That's why training and awareness is considered one of the most important things. Now, let's look at what is the goal of social engineer attack. That drives the pretext. Now, see, the idea here is that the attacker tried to craft the situation to align with their objective and influence the victim's action. Obviously, the desired outcome will dictate the complexity, urgency, and the context of pretext. But anyway, there are several motivations here if you look at the screen. The first one is activist cause, like hacktivism, which is driven by ideological, political, or social causes. And there's here like for example, anonymous hackers launch a cyber attack against governments or corporations, such as in 2010 operation against PayPal for freezing WikiLeaks donation. For fun, maybe attackers seeks amusement without necessarily causing significant harm. Like, for example, like a teenager get access to the school system to alter grades or display, some funny pops up on the staff computers. A reputation to prove skills, gain recognition, like Kevin Mitnock case. Like, for example, Mitnock, when he was young, he was able to bypass security system to prove his hacking skills and gain, reputation basically within the hacking community. Gain of knowledge, insider information, gathering confidential or proprietary information to use for advantage. Like, for example, a competitor posing as a recruiter collected trade secrets in Waymo versus Uber case, where autonomous vehicles data were allegedly stolen for competitive advantage. It could be also for revenge, revenge against organization or individual. It could be like disgruntled ex-employee planted malware in their company's system, deleting critical data. For example, like the Tesla insider sabotage case back in 2020. Theft of money, finance motive, stealing money, financial data, and so on. Like a cyber criminal impersonate a bank official during a business email compromise attack, leading to 10 million loss for a multinational corporation. And finally, pin testing, ethical attacks to test the security awareness system vulnerability. Of course, a company will end up hiring a red team to simulate phishing attack and see how the employees will react to it. Okay, one more thing also. Building a credible trust basically is to align with goal attackers focus on, which means what? It requires that you have good understanding of the target, their roles, habits, organizational structure. And then the next step to have a successful pretext is to do a research, learn, collect information about the victim or the company, and that's what we call the open source intelligence. And then crafting urgency, trust, or crafting the attack in a way that can be convincing. Okay, so there's another thing here. The psychology will continue with this part. The trust, the ethical, sorry, the social engineer will try to establish credibility or familiarity to create a sense of safety. Why it works? Because humans are naturally inclined to trust, perceive authority or familiarity. Okay, now. An attacker uses company's email format to impersonate IT. For authority, attacker will take a position of power, or any perceived superiority. Now people are conditioned to follow instructions from somebody with authority figure, like somebody calling you, saying this is the CEO or this is the CIO, and I need this following information to check, blah, 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 something like that, urgency, creating time pressure to to force fast action without proper, examination. People bypass, usual caution when time-sensitive pressure, exists. Like for example, like this invoice is overdue. Click immediately to pay, to avoid penalties. Fear, using the threat of harm, loss of negative consequences. Uh, Now, why it works? Because fear triggers a quick emotional response, overriding logic. Okay, like for example, some people, when they receive a message like this one, your account will be suspended if you do not confirm now or if you don't pay. Now, why these attacks succeed? Well, based on several studies, it says that emotion over logic. Emotional responses like fear, urgency override rational thought. Cognitive biases. Humor are wired to trust authority, respond to urgency, and avoid the threats. The routine behavior is something else, like people rely on the habits and pattern which attackers exploit. And finally, lack of awareness. A lot of people are not trained to detect these type of things. So, and this takes us to another important concept like scarcity. Now, scarcity is a psychological control that creates a sense of urgency by implying that an opportunity or resource or benefit is limited and may be missed if immediate action is not taken. Now, people usually prioritize action when they believe time is running out or a resource is scarce. Now, social engineers exploit this principle by like introducing like deadlines, limited offers, a warning of consequences. For example, back in 2019, the IRS phishing campaign, attackers sent emails to taxpayers claiming that immediate action was needed to prevent tax penalties. Victims who fall for this urgency handed over sensitive financial details. Now, for the helpful nature, well, humans basically naturally desire to assist others. They love to do that, often driving satisfaction and a sense of purpose from being helpful. Now, social engineers will exploit this noble tendency by framing their requests as a genuine needs or seeking assistance in a seemingly harmless manner by appealing to to helpfulness. Social engineers bypass natural defense and gain trust. Now, similarity, that's another one. It's leverage the psychological tendency for individuals to trust and feel comfortable with those who share common experience or backgrounds. Like social engineers use this principle to build rapport quickly, strong relationship with the victim, as a foundation of trust, obviously, by identifying shared interest, affiliation, or geographical connection. Attackers will lower the target's defense and increase the likelihood of compliance. Of course, for this to be very successful, when it comes similarity, you are expected to do a lot of research about the target or the company, collect as much as information. Let me just give you like a quick example. Like attacker might approach a victim saying, "Hey, we went to the same university. I thought you would be the right person to reach out to for blah blah blah." You can think of. Now, the last one, the reciprocation. This one relies on human tendency to retain favors of goodwill. Okay, so when someone receives something, whether it's a gift or a favor or assistance, they often feel obligated to offer something in return. Like like in 2018, the Marriott data breach, phishing emails offer guests a free stay to complete a quick survey Guess what? The victims who provided or answered the survey, they provided sensitive information which attackers use to steal identities and access accounts. So these stuff are really, really important tools for social engineers, and they use it to manipulate a human behavior effectively here. Now, for person-to-person social engineering, this involves direct action, basically between person to another person, or with the target to manipulate them into revealing sensitive information or to do specific thing for them. One of the most effective technique in this approach is impersonation. When they impersonate someone else, or pretend to be someone else that you trust or you're familiar with, like like IT technician or maintenance worker, to enhance credibility. The attacker may wear disguise, or like they might wear like fake badges, or wear authentic uniforms to disguise themselves, to make them look like like somebody who that organization or this person is familiar with. Okay, so again, so the point here is exploiting the target's tendency to trust familiar or authoritative figures. The attacker can, in this case, gain access to restricted area or extract information without rising suspicious. Now, another technique here we have the friendly elicitation, where attacker engage in casual conversation to extract information. This person that's cool, friendly, nice looking, so they sometimes, the issue here is that if you ask direct questions, often rises red flags. So the attackers rely on friendly chit chat to build rapport and lower the victim's defenses. Like sometimes small talk about topics like the weather, hobbies, or shared interest, like again, similarity, can be involved. The attacker gradually steers the conversation towards sensitive area here. Okay, like security protocols, project details, or any information that in the normal cases you will not do it. Now, the other one, quad pro quo. Now, the attacker offers something of a value, such as assistance, free services, or gifts to make the target feel, in debt. In debt. See, the psychological principle of this comes into play, where the target feels obligated to repay the favor, so anyway, so in all these attacks, or sorry, in all these techniques, basically, attackers rely on personalization, psychological manipulation, keen observation of the target's behavior and vulnerabilities. And now, the other one for interviews and interrogation here are those techniques used to control the conversation while extracting information for a victim. Like when you do some interview style approach, the attackers creates a comfortable and relaxed atmosphere, putting the target at ease. Now, this friendly conversational engagement encourages the victim to open up naturally, revealing information without realizing its value to the attacker. Now, on the other hand, the interrogation here, it's less friendly, obviously, and more direct engagement. It often involves applying of pressure or intimidation to force the victim into compliance. While interviews rely on a charm, interrogation leverages discomfort and urgency to manipulate the victim into sharing details. Now, obviously, shoulder surfing, we're all familiar with it, about the physical observation tactics happen. The fact is, attackers exploit this environment where people are less cautious, like in airports, coffee shops, or busy office spaces. to visually capture any data. They could see it while you're typing the keyboard or the screen you're looking at. And bribery involves offering, the target money, gifts, or other valuable incentives in exchange for sensitive information or privileged access. Now, while this technique is straightforward, okay, it obviously relies on the victim's willingness to accept the offer and compromise their ethics, often motivated, of course, by greed or financial need. Now, all these techniques, when they combine with psychological manipulation, allow social engineers to directly exploit the human nature, observing, the observation gap and ethical vulnerabilities here. Okay, so right now let's talk about using technology for social engineering, like phishing attacks. I mean, we know what is phishing. Phishing means we're using message technology to send unsolicited messages to targeted victims to pressure them into doing something that they will not do with the normal cases here. Uh, okay, I mean, also we know that phishing emails may either direct the recipient to URL, to a website, or request a reply with the requested information. Messages, may mimic the style and the content of legitimate messages that recipients may receive, but they incorporate tricks to deceive them into taking action or disclosing sensitive information. For example, like if you look at this type of phishing email, when you look at it, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Well, I mean, there could be some like spelling or grammar errors in the email content or incorrect email address. If you look at it here, that's not the right email address. Inaccurate information provided in the email. So that's one of the things that you need to read very careful. Look uh, at the email header, and there are, of course, different types of phishing emails. We got the spear phishing email, which it targets specific group of people, like for example, research development as a target rather than the whole organization. Okay, Welling as phishing high-profile targets like CEO, CFO, or SMS phishing, smishing, phishing using SMS or text messages, voice phishing or vishing, use phone calls as a phishing communication technology. And here also we have another thing that website-based attacks. Like the first one is cloned websites. Now, for clone websites, basically, before I get to this, I just want to make sure you understand the website-based attacks engineer rely on technical manipulation combined with deceptive tactics to trick users into performing actions that compromise security. Now, the web-based attacks has two parts: cloned websites, watering holes. Now, the first one, cloned websites, that's a very common social engineering tactics. When attackers create replicas of legitimate websites to deceive users into taking harmful action. Now, these websites appear like identical to a trusted platform, but are designed or done with the malicious intent. Like for example, that it might contain fake login fields that collect username and password, or malicious link that redirect user to servers hosting malware. Now, it's not really difficult to use like many tools. There are some tools that will help you download the content of any website down to your computer, and then you could uh, you know, create a fake website based on what you have downloaded from the original website, by the way. Now, to enhance credibility, also, attackers often use techniques like domain spoofing or typo squatting, like registering domains similar to legitimate ones. Like instead of paypal.com, you say pa1.com. If you don't pay attention to it, no, average user might not pay attention to it. And also, in order to make it secure, they can get free SSL certificate. Like you can get this by visiting this website called Let's Encrypt, which you will get a free SSL certificate. This enables, I mean, imagine this enables attackers to enable HTTPS on their fake sites, making them appear even more trustworthy. Now, attackers basically leverage tools such as social engineer toolkit, or there's evil GINX tool, if I recall correctly. These tools, they are basically website cloning frameworks. So you could quickly replicate the look and the feel of popular websites, including email portals, financial platform, corporate system. Now, the thing that once a user interact with this site by entering credential or downloading files, guess what? A copy of the username and password will be sent to the attacker's command and control server. So they will have access to it. Now, a good example happened back in 2020. Microsoft Office 365 phishing campaigns. Attackers cloned Microsoft login pages, tricking employees into sharing their credentials via realistic looking links. Now, to defend against cloned website, organization must deploy, by the way, URL filtering solution, educate users on identifying suspicious or misspelled domains, and very important to implement multi-factor authentication, MFA. Now, for water holes, attacks are a targeted social engineering technique where attackers compromise legitimate websites that are frequently visited by specific groups or organizations. The goal is to infect this website with malicious script or code, targeting users who trust and visit the site. Now, by doing some sort of reconnaissance, attackers can identify the websites relevant to their targets. That or in another word, the most visited websites by the targets. So once the website is compromised, okay, attackers inject the malware or deploy drive-by downloads that infect visitors' system without requiring any direct interaction. These attacks often exploit vulnerabilities in the website content management system, or if the website is using outdated plugins. This does help the attacker to plant malicious script. Now, a very well known, by the way, example of this watering hole attack happened back to a company called CC Cleaner. A lot of people use it, by the way. Supply chain attack back in 2017, where cyber criminals compromised a frequently visited software download site for CC Cleaner. The attackers embedded a malware into the software update, infecting over 2 million users, including corporate IT systems, who people they rely on this tool. Now, the US drop attacks basically it means what? Like if you place a malware or removable media in the USB thumb drive, okay, and you throw it in a location to attract people, like you could write on it, for example, like salaries, or you could write, a note on it like confidential information. So people they tend to be curious about it, so they grab the USB drive, they take it inside the corporate, they plug it there, into their computer, and guess what? The malware will spread and compromise the system. And some of them, their auto-spreading worms can also be executed from plug-in and drive. After compromise, the attacker gain control of the system and could be for the whole network. A good example of this, by the way, back in 2010, Stuxnet attack utilizes a USB drop attack as a breach strategy, by the way. Now, this is obviously a straightforward attack, but let me focus on what are the defensive measures against USB drop attacks. One of them, you should disable USB auto run from the computer system. So if somebody plugged this one, they cannot auto run the USB. And better, if you're in a corporate, you should disable the USB drives completely from all the corporate organization. And you could do this by implementing endpoint security solution that from the console, you could disable all the USB the drives in a computer. Okay, so of course, another important thing that you need to educate employees about the risk of using unknown or untrusted USB drives, you know, and obviously you have to keep your eyes open for monitoring the premises to prevent attackers from planting these devices, and going inside the location. Now there are so many tools out there. We have social engineering tools. Pen testers have a surprising array of tools to make social engineering more efficient, reliable, and easier to use. One of them is this tool, Social Engineering Toolkit, SET. It's a command line tool including Kali Linux. It is integrated with the Metasploit to extend functionality. There are so many things you could do with it. You could do spear phishing attack, website attacks, mass mail attacks, and SMS spoofing. And now, if you want to learn how to do it, in my YouTube channel, I have a video for it, and it would take you step by step how to create a fake website, okay, in order to make it look like a real website, or what steps you need to do. So please visit this video to become familiar. Now we have also another technique or technology used, the browser exploitation framework beef. Okay, that's a pen testing tool to gain control over target's web browser. It uses command and control code injection of hook. They call it hook. It's based on JavaScript, by the way, and compromise a site visit by target. And this JavaScript hook code allows for browser manipulation by beef if run on a target browser. Again, if you want to learn more about it, it does not get installed automatically, or it's not part of Kali Linux. You have to do some installation, and I do explain the installation process and how to configure it, and how to attack a browser, and how to exploit the browser. So please take a look at it. And now, for the last part here, we have the voice over IP networks rely on telephone protocol like session initiation protocol, SIP, to enable voice calls over internet. However, these protocols are vulnerable to exploitation, making them prime targets for phishing, voice phishing attack. Now, there are two tools here. The first one is the invite, and there's the VI Pro. Now, the first one is a tool built into Metasploit firmware that allows attacker to spoof phone calls to their targets. They try to manipulate the SIP, the session initiation protocol headers. Uh, if it is done successfully, it can make a call appear as if it is originates from a trusted or incorrect source number. Now, this technique is particularly effective in phishing attacks, where attackers impersonate of legitimate entities to extract sensitive information. The other one, okay, it's considered as a pen testing tool designed to assess the security of the voice over IP networks. It can do a lot of types of attacks like authentication bypass, SIP enumeration, call spoofing. Okay, so that's another. So basically, this is another nice tool for doing pen testing here. Okay, so in the second part of this video lecture, we will focus on the physical security and remote attacks. And, basically we'll focus on the physical security from social engineering. Now, Physical security is very important topic. However, I won't be able to give it the attention it deserves because it requires a lot of lectures. So, physical access to computer system typically grants, an elevated level of control compared to remote access because basically the minute you reach a computer, you're able to bypass, the software protection in many cases. Now, pen tester or threat actors with the physical access can perform different actions to compromise a system, including like booting a system from external media, like USB drive. And this USB drive has a certain operating system with some malware, with some tools, you could use it to attack. So the question is, what actions enabled by physical access? The first one is booting from external media. Attackers can insert like USB drive with pre-configured operating system or tools like Kali Linux to bypass system login protection. There are so many tools that can be used, like Mimi Catis tool, can extract stored credential, or other scripts can be used, to install backdoors for remote access, the one that's designed either by attacker or pen tester. Now, hardware-based attacks, now keyloggers also, can be connected to record the keystrokes as hardware. And there are certain keyloggers that are software only, but the hardware is even better and better because it's stealthier. You know, Devices like Robber, Docky, or Bash Bonnie can execute script immediately in compromised systems. Now, for the bias UEFI manipulation, attackers may reset the settings of these BIOS, to disable any security feature, such as like boot protection, or set boot priority to external drives, And obviously, the last step here is to steal data, like clone hard drives, exfiltrate sensitive files, or analyze disk for encryption weakness. Now, for in-person physical, also, during the penetration testing, physical tests can be conducted to assess the vulnerability in the physical security organization. One of them is the security personnel. Okay, so what to do? Well, we need to test the effectiveness and the response time of the guards and on-site personnel, and assessing their ability to identify unauthorized individuals or devices. Now, for security procedures, well, you need to evaluate all the protocols for like visitor access, like sign-in processes, ID verification, escort policies. Also you want to check if the employees follow the clean desk policy. I've seen some organizations that they don't follow clean desk policy. When they go home, they leave stack of papers on the desk. You know, Entry control system, like testing effectiveness of access control mechanism, like RFID cards, biometric readers, pin based system. Also you want to check how people react to tailgating, or stuff like this. You want to look at it. Surveillance system, you need to identify blind spots in the CCTV coverage and test whether monitoring system can be bypassed. Also, you need to verify that cameras are functional, monitor in real time, and have secure configuration. And finally, the barriers and fences here, you need to evaluate the physical integrity of the fences, gates, and barriers to identify uh, points of unauthorized entry and checking for weaknesses, like gaps, broken locks, or climbable structures. Okay, so one of the things you need to look at is reconnaissance. That's basically the first step and a very important step. You need to you know, look around and examine the physical access of the building. And then you need to start laying the groundwork, basically before you attempting to breach a facility physically, you need to spend some time, you know, observing and understanding the target's environment. I mean, for example, you need to watch people's behavior, like how employees enter, exit, and behave at the facility helps you understand access patterns and routine. You need to monitor normal operation, like monitor daily activities, like shift changes, deliveries, lunch breaks, can help you identify variable times when security is relaxed or distracted. And of course, you have identifying entry points, like you need to understand which access points, like main doors, side entrance, loading docks, are used and how they are secured. Using like what? Are they using key cards, biometric readers, PIN for crucial? I mean, this is crucial for planning infiltration strategy. And then when you have the access control methods, also knowing the method used to control access for authorized personnel can help you devise ways to impersonate employees or bypass system. You know, like for example, like badge cloning. If the tester can observe or obtain access cards, you probably would try to clone the RFID or NFC badges using tools like Proxmark 3. This is the one on the screen right here. Uh, Tailgating. Okay. I mean, watch the people, how they hold doors open for others, helps tester plan attacks where they blend in and piggyback into secure areas. Biometric system, understand whether the facility uses fingerprint scanner, facial recognition, retina scan, can basically highlight opportunities for bypass, like using fake print. Identifying weak time frames, you know, understanding the timing of specific facility operation can expose windows of opportunity for entry, like, for example, shift changes, deliveries, and maintenance. Attacker can pose as a delivery drivers, contractors, or maintenance workers, for example. And the breaks and lunches also as well. You know, uh, they like employees or even security staff. They're often distracted or absent during lunch breaks, leaving critical areas less monitored. Okay, so using impersonation to enter a facility. Now, looking at playing the part of of authorized person or guest increases the likelihood of success. Wearing costumes or using props uh, helps impersonate establish help impersonate establish credibility and reduce suspicion. Having fake ID badges and being prepared with details of real employees, okay, or department improves the impersonation's believability. Now, impersonation carries risk, obviously. Like, it could be converted by security personnel or employees who's not aware of what you're doing. So, Now, let me give you just a quick scenario. So, imagine yourself impersonate an IT technician. So basically you're wearing this IT company's branded polo shirt and carrying laptop bag with tools. You enter a facility during regular business hours. Now, you approach the front desk and you say, I'm here to troubleshoot an issue with the server. Mike, from IT logged the ticket earlier. When questioned, you could confidently, with confidence, you could show a fake ID badge and, drop relevant names here. Okay. A further challenge, well, you could provide contact details for a pre-informed client representative who can confirm the activity. So here we could see that impersonation is very effective social engineering technique that combines appearance, confidence, and preparation to bypass physical security. Testers create a smoke screen of legitimacy by using costumes and employee information and other techniques. Now, dumpster diving. Okay, so badge cloning and jumping the fence. Okay, so here's the thing. Physical penetration tester often use variety of tactics to bypass physical security controls and gain access to facility. Like including the things you see it in red here. Now, each technique focuses on exploiting human oversight, security gaps, or physical barriers to gather valuable information or to gain unauthorized access. First one, dumpster diving. You know, searching through organization discarded materials and looking for some useful information. Some some employees they might not shred some papers. They throw it away like this. Okay, so or they throw away some important information, that give an idea for the attacker about certain information within the company. Okay, now badge cloning, which targets RFID badges or anything similar, to it that allow entry to secured area. Attackers use specialized tools to read and replicate those badges signals, enabling unauthorized access. And these are good example of what type of equipment that can be used. Now, what is the defense measures for this? It's recommended to use high-frequency encrypted RFID badges with anti-cloning protection. You need to enforce policies for storing badges in RFID blocking sleeves when not in use. Of course, use multi-factor authentication. It goes without saying. Jumping the fence, like this is a direct method of bypassing external perimeter security. Facilities with poorly designed barriers, unmonitored entry points, or weak fences can be vulnerable to this tactics. Now, example like you might identify a weak spot in the facility perimeter where a chain link fence is low and unmonitored by surveillance cameras. So what you do, you scale the fence at night, you gain entry into the property, then you try to move undetected to the main building. So what is the defense measure? Obviously, you need to install anti-climb barriers like barbed wire, razor coils, or anti-scaling fences, and you could implement motion sensors and infrared detection system along the perimeter, and you could also add CCTV to monitor blind spots, areas in the building or around the building. And finally, here we have lock picking and lock bumping. If you look at this picture over here, I could tell you stuff like this requires a lot of patience to do it. Lock picking involves manipulating a lock's internal components like the pins or wafers or whatever, as you see in the picture over here, to bypass locking mechanism without using an actual key. Now, lock bumping is a quicker and more accessible method for bypassing traditional pin tumbler locks by using special key they called a bump key into the cylinder. Now, there are many resources out there to help you and to learn about lock picking and related topics. One of them, by the way, is the Open Organization of Lock Pickers Tool, TOOL, which is a community dedicated to the ethical study and advancement of lock security, and DEFCON, Lock Picking Village. And finally, by the end of this module, you should be able to describe social engineering and motivation, the psychology of social engineering, the tactics used in person-to-person social engineering, describe some of technology and technology-based attacks used in social engineering, and some of the tools in social engineering, and finally, social engineering physical attacks and method. And finally, thank you so much for watching this video lecture. I hope you find it useful. If yes, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Again, thank you so much for watching.